what a great opportunity for you to stop this cycle, this vicious cycle of gotcha, gotcha back, gotcha, gotcha back.
We have to unite the country. We have to save the country. That's not really saving the country. There are people that did some bad things. I know who they are and all of that. Revenge does take time, I will say that.
It does.
And sometimes revenge can be justified, Phil. I have to be honest. You know, sometimes it can.
That, of course, is Donald Trump in a sit-down interview with Dr. Phil, where he talks about how awesome revenge is. And sometimes it takes a while, but there's bad people out there, and maybe we need revenge. He asserts that these people theoretically might need to be revenged because they've done bad things, which is about as explicit or clear as he'll ever get about the supposed crimes of his enemies. Meanwhile, that interview is being conducted on the stage where the stolen classified documents were being stored. So you have his vague assertions of criminality, and then he's at the site of one of his crimes. But while talk of revenge has become sort of a constant in these Trump interviews, Dr. Phil would have you not worry too much about that, okay? He doesn't think Trump is actually gonna pursue revenge when he becomes president, and here he is making that case.
Is he going to work for the American people, or is he gonna work for himself? What do you think?
Well, I think that's for the voters to decide. And if he continues to talk about retribution, revenge, then they're going to have to make a decision. If that's what he's running on, then I think people would say, I don't think that that's where I want to place my vote. And I hope that's not what he intends to do. I hope it's not what he's going to do. I think he's made a commitment during the interview that I did with him that that's not what he's going to do. And I hope as he moves further along and hears more voices like mine, voices like yours that say, that's not what we want, that's not what we need. I think he'll get the message that, look, nobody wants that. That's running your agenda, not our agenda. And that's what we need to say to all of these candidates, including Donald Trump.
Clearly a very intelligent man. He's earned every penny he's ever gotten. Yeah, Trump is gonna listen to Dr. Phil and Abby Phillips of all people. He's gonna take advice from Abby Phillips of CNN, his worst enemy, to not go for revenge. And look, Dr. Phil can basically assert that nobody wants him to start locking up Democrats. I don't think that a majority of the country wants him to, but I do think tens of millions of those in his base certainly want him to. Many of the people who are gonna end up in prominent positions in his administration are openly advocating on a variety of podcasts and Rumble shows literally as we're recording this. So that's a weird take from Dr. Phil, but understand he's trying to maintain his access. He got to go to Mar-a-Lago, to the site of the classified documents theft. He got to speak to Donald Trump, and that's certainly a boon to his show. But before we discuss, I do just want to remind you that this was not the only time that he's talked about this. He had an interview with Sean Hannity 2 days ago where he said he would have every right to weaponize the DOJ to prosecute his political enemies. He says, you have to do it, but it's awful. Look, I know you want me to say something so nice. I don't want to look naive. Yeah, he wants revenge. And his base wants revenge. And look, they'll point to the fact that he got through his first term without locking up his political opponents, which I guess is for the most part technically true. But we know that he put pressure on Jeff Sessions initially to investigate Hillary Clinton. An investigation of Hillary Clinton happened during that time. And so it seems like that would be a lot of faith, I think unearned faith that you'd have to put on him to think that he's not going to pursue revenge if he gets the chance.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
I wanna start with you, Waz. What do you make of that? Is this bluster, or do you think that this is actually gonna be his agenda?
No, man, I got a pretty long memory when it comes to Donald Trump's as a candidate. And he seems kind of cowed here, guys. I don't know. This doesn't feel like build the wall and Mexico will pay for it or lock her up. Like, he did that stuff with so much more verve than he's doing all of this stuff. Like, this guy seems pretty defeated. He seems pretty down in the dump after finally having lost an actual court case that people can say, yo, he did it. And it's been proven, and he's been convicted. He feels pretty cowed by this. And you know what I will say to add to that, honestly, John, and David, if there are Democrats who have committed crimes and Donald Trump wants to use the DOJ to prosecute them, I say he does it. And he does it to the fullest extent of the law. If people have committed crimes and they're Democrats, lock their asses up. That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly, Waz. I mean, people who break the law, put them on trial and let a jury decide what to do.
Exactly.
My issue, I guess, in all of this is, and I also agree that I think Donald Trump seems to be somewhat broken, is that there's always that analogy about, the most dangerous animal is one that is caged and cornered. And even though Donald Trump maybe has lost a little bit on his fastball, I think his intention is still to try to get some sort of revenge. And part of what's so creepy about all of this is I go back and forth between, the United States and media. We are doomed, and oh no, maybe it's not going to be so bad. Maybe we'll survive. And I go back and forth every day. And then I see Dr. Phil doing the interview with Donald Trump about vengeance and revenge. And I think, no, we are doomed. When Dr. Phil has somehow become a key voice in this discussion that some people will listen to, even in Trump world, we are really doomed as a society and as a media.
Yeah. I will add to both of you, his energy is certainly lower. I think he wasn't totally checked out of the interview or whatever. He was doing his little sly smirks at the idea of locking people up or destroying democracy and stuff like that. But yeah, he doesn't have the energy that he did. In his defense, he's 1,000 years old. So I think it's only fair to acknowledge that. But I am at least a little bit worried, because not only is he a weak little man who hates everyone around him that's ever betrayed him and would love the idea of locking them up, but it's also like the right is always looking for the thing that can stand in for actually delivering to their base, a base that hates the establishment, the elites, whatever, and wants something to be done. You could actually do that sort of stuff. You could challenge the stranglehold that corporations have on our policy or the way that the wealthy have captured both parties. You could do all the actual substantive stuff to check the establishment. They obviously don't want to do that, so they need something to stand in for it. And they've gotten a couple of years out of demonizing trans people and all that, but locking up prominent Democrats is a wonderful diversion or distraction, because it looks even more like you're actually kind of going after the establishment. I mean, some of these people are politicians, some of them have been in office. Now, it isn't actually delivering anything for their base, but I think that to their base, it'll look good in the place of where real reform should be. So I think it's gonna be hard to turn that down, especially if you get, like, it's one thing to campaign on this stuff when you're trying to get in office, but when you're actually in office and 6 months have gone by and the only thing you've even proposed is more tax cuts for the wealthy, you kind of have to deliver something for your base. And I think that this could be an easy stand-in.
He's not focused on any sort of change, major policy changes, or even building the wall or any of that stuff. He's focused on his own survival and his own sort of being redeemed. And the way he gets redeemed is either winning on appeal or somehow being able to stop these other court cases and not going to jail, then winning the election, and then he can do whatever we want with Democrats. That's his entire focus. And so the idea that we should expect, even if Donald Trump, on his best day, does Donald Trump really have some sort of policy he really wants to enact? Does he really have any sort of change he wants to make for the world other than make rich people wealthier? Of course not. Donald Trump simply wants to promote himself. And right now, his image has taken a hit because of the convictions, and he feels the need to change that and redeem himself in the eyes of everybody.
I just think we shouldn't underestimate the power of simply owning the libs. Like, just by virtue of winning, he has done a great service to his base who just hate the libs, hate the Dems, and want to see them lose. Like, his 4 years in office, what did he really do for them? Like, he built a little, a little chain link fence across the border, barely built a wall. He cut the hell out of taxes. He got his little Muslim ban. I know they did love that one. He got his Muslim ban, but other than that, he just existed. And they were so freaking happy about it. I don't know that he actually has to do anything for these people.
Yeah, I certainly agree. It's so obvious, but I don't know. Like, if I were to put it in metaphoric terms, I feel like owning the libs is something they truly value. One could even potentially call it the right's precious, and they are Gollum. and they will follow that precious down into the magma, unfortunately, not realizing that they're plummeting to their doom. They're so focused on owning some random teacher from Tennessee that like their spot was blown up by libs of TikTok that they don't realize that their flesh is melting off their bones. I've perhaps taken the metaphor too far.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.